Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Hold on a second now. What if what you see is not what you get?
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, Tony Walker.
If you got it, you don't need it. If you need it, you don't got it. You don't get it, shame on you. Funny, funny, funny what money can do. Them that have it get more of it. The less they need it, the more they love it. And it sticks to them like glue. Funny, funny, funny what money can do.
Ah, yes, the decade of the 70s. A time before cell phones and cable existed, a unique time when any show you watched had to be on only one of three channels because that's all you got. And it offered us these popular dance shows, artists that would very much carry any genre you wanted to check out. For instance, if you wanted to listen to Top 40 and dance along, we had Dick Clark's American Bandstand. For the country in ya, God gave us Hee Haw with Buck Owens and Roy Clark. Want to slow it down a little bit? Then you'd turn on the TV and the bubble machine and watch my Grandma Hazel's favorite show, The Lawrence Welk Show. And then, actually as a kid growing up, one of my favorite shows was Soul Train with Don Cornelius. And yes, the music you heard earlier. Well, let's just let it roll again, Aaron. Yep, this was an episode in 1972, the group The Dramatics belting out a very popular song then, What You See Is What You Get. You know, these shows were pretty simple. Get a bunch of people together with nothing else better to do, who liked a certain style of music, play the music, and then have them dance around while they made money selling ads on the show. Of course, as my Uncle Ed used to say, this was just good old family entertainment that was all wholesome and good. So much for the Worry-Free Retirement. It's good, wholesome family entertainment, folks, and we're glad you're with us. I am Tony Walker, and you're about to listen to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money. And yes, we're on episode 2 of how to save on taxes. You know, normally we talk about the decade of the 70s a lot on this show. A lot of things happened in the 70s that deal with my personal life and, of course, how I deal with money now, particularly the year of 1978. I always like to say 3 very important things happened. The first one I'm going to mention, you could probably care less about. It was pretty important to me. That's the year I graduated high school. And then also in 1978, after pounding the pavement for 43 straight years with Bell South, my granddad retired with his beloved mailbox money. And what we'll be talking about today, to me, one of the biggest turning points of all finances was the advent or the creation by Congress in 1978 of what we call the 401k plan. And as we're going to find out when it comes to the amount of money you've stockpiled in that 401k, what you see is not what you get. By the way, with us in the studio is America's favorite financial sidekick, Aaron Orander, and then his sidekick helping produce the show, Matt Stebbins. And Aaron, now let me tell you the story before you say a word, okay? Just don't say a word. So, years ago when I started the Worry-Free Retirement radio show, I used to do it live at WKCT Radio there in Bowling Green, Kentucky. We're on in several stations now, and at that time, a good longtime friend of mine and co-host of that show with Chad Young, the morning drive there on WKCT, his name's Al Arbogast, Well, since I was live, we would just leave the mic on. Al would produce the show, and we'd talk back and forth. And I ran into Chad Young the other day, and he goes, hey, I'm really enjoying the show. We now get, of course, Chad, the recordings of the show, and they still play it on KCT. But Chad said, hey, I kind of miss hearing you and Al. And I said, you know what, Chad, I miss Al too, but I got Aaron. And he said, well, I know you always refer to Aaron, but how come you don't mic him up? And I said, well, I don't know. I guess we can. So, Aaron, this is Chad's doing, but officially welcome to the show. You're now mic'd up, man.
Good morning. Thank you.
And you know what, though? Actually, Aaron and I go back a ways. I met Aaron at Wave TV. I used to have a TV show on there, and Aaron worked at Wave. And we started the TV show, The Worry-Free Retirement, there. And I forgot all about this, Aaron. You were mic'd up there, weren't you?
Occasionally.
Yeah, I mean, you would do the Facebook things and all that. So it's good to have Aaron mic'd up. He'll come in from time to time. If he talks too much, I've got a kill switch over here. I'll just cut his mic back. But, growing up in Lexington, folks, I was raised by an entertaining family. I love music. My dad played saxophone. He was in a band back in the 60s and early 70s called the Four Sounds. They were very popular in the Lexington area. My mom played piano with him. After my parents split up, my brother, who was a drummer, he started playing with my father at the age of 13. My brother is still in a band in Lexington called the Johnson Brothers. They're still pounding it out, doing really good. I picked up instruments when I was young just because I was around it, played a little trumpet, bass, drums. I traded in all the instruments now to help people worry less about money, but I can appreciate the fact that people enjoy music and dancing and all that. But it's not a lot of fun. You can sing about what you see is what you get all day long. It sounds great, but it's not a lot of fun, and it's not very entertaining, quite frankly, to drag out your 401k statement thinking you've got 200,000, 300,000, 400,000, whatever's in there, and you think that's what you're going to get one day, and it's not. So when I come back, we're going to dive into this whole notion of the 401k, a little history lesson on how it got started, who started this thing, why everybody's telling you to max it out, and why that may be the worst thing you can do, especially with the favorable tax rates we have today. You're listening to The Worry-Free Retirement. I'm Tony Walker. I'll be right back. It only happens one time, and just 140 people can attend. I'm Tony Walker, inviting you to a free screening of the breakthrough documentary, The Power of Zero, The Tax Train is Coming, Tuesday, March 5th in Louisville. This shocking film reveals why you could be paying far more in taxes in retirement and how you can defend yourself. If you've saved at least $250,000 for retirement, call to reserve your free ticket at 877-499-9255.
Worried about running out of money in retirement? For a limited time, five-time author and retirement specialist Tony Walker is making available his latest book, Mailbox Money for Life. For your free copy, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement, and we're getting ready to dive in to the advent of the 401k plan. So I'll do a little pop quiz with you, Aaron, since we got you mic'd up over there. I'm just going to ask you some questions.
All right.
Imagine you've never even heard of the 401k. Let's say it was never existed. You with me? So set the stage. Aaron used to take some acting classes, didn't you? Aaron's pretty good at this stuff. He can put on a good acting skills here and act like you're clueless about 401k. So first of all, Aaron, you get a call from your favorite politician, and they're doing a random poll of people around the country because they're wanting to create a new retirement savings system. You with me so far?
I'm with you.
Okay, so here we go. So they ask you the following questions, all right? There's 4 things. They say, Aaron, here's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create this retirement planning process, or plan, if you will, and here's the first attribute. We're going to set this up so it's going to be very, very convenient, in other words, for you to save money. All you have to do is let your employer know how much you want to put in this retirement plan, and your employer will conveniently payroll deduct from your check, so you don't have to see it and spend that money, and it'll go right into this plan, that convenience. Does that sound pretty good?
Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Also, Aaron, here's what we're going to do with this plan, this new system we're coming up with for saving money. We're going to let you invest in this money, and we will not tax any of the growth on that money, any of it, until way down the road when you take it out. How's that sound so far?
Even better.
There we go. Number 3, Aaron, I know you're going to love this part. We're actually, if you'll put money into this plan, we're going to let you what we call deduct it, or it's going to be called pre-tax. So that will actually or should help you save a little bit on taxes now. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4, and we're going to let you invest with the folks on Wall Street, and they're going to help you with the funds. They're going to lay it out for you. You can pick whatever funds you want. You'll have all this universe of stocks and bonds and mutual funds, things you never would have ever been able to get on your own. It's going to be like this huge menu of all these wonderful investments, and they're at your disposal. No minimum account sizes or anything. How's it sounding so far?
I'm on board so far.
All right, folks. You know what? Now, we stopped right there. What you see is what you get, and who in the world wouldn't put 100% of their money there? And that's what happened. In fact, in William Wellman's great book, The Great 401k Hoax, this is where a little bit of the hoax started. Granted, all of these attributes are true to the 401k. The problem is what you see is not what you get, because let me add a few other caveats that nobody seemed to tell anybody about when these 401ks first hit the scene. Now we've got hundreds of thousands of these plans with trillions, that's with a T, folks, not billions, with trillions of dollars locked up in these 401k plans. This money is waiting to be taxed. The government's licking their chops waiting for you to yank it out. Wall Street's been charging all these fees, and more than likely, depending on the investments you chose, it's been a roller coaster ride to nowhere. That's how some of you feel, especially with this last downturn. As we record this show in January 2019, we had this huge downturn last year, and we saw how volatile these plans can be. So what did they not tell you about these 401ks? Well, let's just keep the running list. So now, Aaron, we're back into our survey, and I follow up with a phone call and say, hey, by the way, Aaron, did you get a call from a politician about these new savings plans, and did they ask you 4 questions? What would you say?
Yep, they sure did.
Okay. And so did they mention this to you? Here's the first thing that we just realized as we examine these 401k plans more closely, Aaron, that basically once you put your money in, for all practical purposes, you cannot get any of this money out until you turn age 59 and a half. So let's say you have an emergency, you want to get a down payment on a house or liquidate this, your kids want to go to college. If you get that money out prior to 59 and a half, you're going to have to pay taxes and penalties. Did they tell you that?
No.
Okay. Number 2, in most cases, the majority of the selections you have are absolutely not guaranteed. That means you could be a couple of years away from retirement, have $400,000 in there, and if you're not careful, if the market were to crash, your 401k could become a 201k. Did they tell you how much potential risk you could have in these plans?
No, they didn't talk about that.
Didn't talk about risk. Okay. Also, if you wanted to get your money out, all right, but you're still working. Let's say you're 55, Aaron, and you're still working, but you want the money out. You want to do something else with it. Maybe a business opportunity has come by, and you've got $100,000 in your 401k. You don't want the 401k, even if you've accepted the fact you'll have taxes on that money, but because you're still working at the employer, you cannot take that money out. What would you say about that?
No, they didn't mention any of that.
Didn't mention that. They mentioned it was kind of locked up, did they? Did they mention to you also that Wall Street, the reason they're so eager to get this money, that they've been charging fees on 100% of the money? Did they mention all these fees they're charging? That was never shared. Okay, that's interesting. Here's another one. Did they mention to you that when you see a statement, let's say you got your 401k statement, and let's just say in that 401k statement it said you had $200,000, did they do some calculations for you and let you know that you would also be getting at that statement to show you exactly what the taxes would be, not only now, but in the future? Did they do a detailed discussion and a deep dive on the tax ramifications of, didn't?
No,
Okay,
not a lot of details.
Not a lot of detail on future taxes. That's interesting. So here's a graphic. Now, if you ever watched the TV show, The Word for Retirement, we are on in several major networks, folks. In fact, you may want to go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and look at the TV station local times. We're in Lexington, Louisville, and Bowling Green now. You should be able to catch the show. But we do have these same graphics, and obviously if you're watching a TV show, it's going to be a lot easier to understand this. But let me just kind of share a graphic with you, all right? And this will help explain number 10, something we call the tax tumor. Did they mention anything about you having to deal with a tax tumor?
No, I never heard the word tumor.
So anyway, now folks, let me say this too. We are not saying stop everything you're doing, don't do the 401k. I'm not trying to be dogmatic here. I'm just trying to share with you that most people that I meet have banked 100% of their money in these 401k plans, and it's all well and good while it's in what we call the accumulation phase. But when you go to what I call the distribution phase, you have no game plan and you've got huge amounts of cost. They're called taxes. You've got all kinds of risk. That's called Wall Street. And along the way, depending on how much disclosure, actually, quite frankly, Aaron, I'll have to admit, they did pass a law a couple years ago that now at least 401ks have to disclose the fees. Up until recently, they hadn't had to do that. So that was kind of interesting. So at least you should be able to find out what the darn fees are. Up until, again, a couple of years ago, they didn't even have to disclose those to you, which is pretty crazy. But anyway, so what I'm getting ready to share with you is the idea of how to understand this tax tumor that nobody talks about that is literally buried right now inside your 401k. Now, if you say, well, I don't think I have a 401k, Tony. I rolled that thing into an IRA. It's the same thing. So remember, for discussion purposes, a 401k, IRA, 403b plan, thrift savings account, 457. If you're getting ready to take a lump sum pension and roll that into an IRA, all of these really fall under pretty much similar tax rules. So if you've got any of those, you've got a tax tumor. So in this example, what we imagine is you're watching or listening to this show on TV or the radio here, and you go, hey, Tony, okay, I got $200,000. What does that mean to me right now if I were to just liquidate it? Well, let's imagine you make pretty good money. And let's assume that the federal tax bracket is 30% on that lump sum. If you took the $200,000 and just rolled it out, you're going to have some state taxes on that. It's about 5% in the state. And you might say, well, Tony, I thought some of that was exempt. Well, part. But yeah, if you took the whole $200,000 out, only a small part is exempt. The rest is subject to state taxes. So just in general, for discussion purposes, that $200,000 you thought you had, what you see, right, on your statement, after taxes, in our example, is really only about 130. So what you see is 200,000. What you get is 130. How's this sounding, Aaron?
Yeah, okay.
Aaron's probably thinking, hey, it's better than the grandfather clock I inherited. It's still real money. All right. What do you think that's worth, Aaron? Aaron got a grandfather clock.
Oh, I don't know.
Have you had it checked out?
I've had it checked out. It is running. It's working.
Oh, okay. You have to call that lady on Strange Inheritance. That thing you may have
could be worth.
Who knows? Yeah, really. Okay, so, and you say, well, Tony, I don't need the money. I'll just I'll leave it alone. I don't have to pay any taxes now. I don't want to have to deal with this tax tumor. So let's imagine you make 5% on this money. 30 years from now, when you turn 70 and a half, you're like, okay, I guess I got to take it out. I hit my minimum distribution age. So now, based on 5%, again, pre-tax, tax deferred, we get it. Don't have to pay the taxes yet. Now what you see on your statement in 30 years is $864,000, and that is a lot of money, I agree. But the question ought to be, okay, that's what I see. What do I get? Well, we got the same problem. Assuming a 35% federal and state bracket on that large of a lump sum, that's what it would be. Now you're talking about a $300,000 tax bill. So what you would get is not $864,000, you get about $564,000. So what is the point? The point is we are currently in very, very low tax tables. The majority of the people I meet, most of them do not go above 22%. Many of you fall into the 12% bracket. Now, I don't know if you've been watching the news lately, and I don't know what politicians are going to do in the future, but there are a lot of people. It's not just one or two folks out there, a lot of politicians who would love to see these tax rates go back up to the levels they were in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. You see, during the 70s, although we had American Bandstand, Soul Train, Lawrence Welk, and Hee Haw, we also had 70% tax brackets, and it could go back to that, folks. A lot of people are talking about that. We've got a huge deficit on our hands. We have Medicare, Social Security. All these things are in trouble, and the government knows very well that there are trillions of dollars out there that has not been taxed, and that's your money. So the question is, do you think taxes will go up in the future or stay where they are? My bet is, and I don't know this for sure, but most experts would agree with this, I think, that study this, my bet is taxes are going to go up in the future. So why in the world would you not plan to save taxes today? And that's where we can help you at Tony Walker Financial. It's really easy to do. To do a tax analysis, all you got to do is go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on the Let's Get Started, and let us know that you want me to review your situation in person. Now, we still got some more time. When I come back, I'm going to illustrate to you why the 401ks were so popular years ago and the idea of tax brackets and the notion or the sales pitch back then when these first started is don't worry about taxes. You'll be in a lower tax bracket one day. I'll be right back. You're listening to the Worry-Free Retirement. Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a buyout? Has the company you work for recently moved or been acquired or closed its doors forever? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k to safer territory. Why continue to risk your hard-earned money when you don't have to? Let's meet in person today to discuss your retirement options. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your no-obligation appointment to meet with me in person. Do it today. It only happens one time, and just 140 people can attend. I'm Tony Walker, inviting you to a free screening of the breakthrough documentary, The Power of Zero, The Tax Train is Coming, Tuesday, March 5th in Louisville. This shocking film reveals why you could be paying far more in taxes in retirement and how you can defend yourself. If you've saved at least $250,000 for retirement, call to reserve your free ticket at 877-499-9255. In case you're just joining us, that's the dramatic singing "What You See Is What You Get." And as you're just finding out, folks, what you see on that 401k statement or retirement planning statement is not what you're probably going to get. So we've had this question. We kind of posed this question earlier. Let's repeat the question. Given the plight of our government, given the amount of debt, the deficits, Social Security, Medicare, all of these things, the government is even kind of reminding us, hey, it could be in jeopardy. Knowing that we have trillions of dollars tied up in these 401ks, IRAs, thrift savings accounts, all these accounts that have not been taxed, do you think there's a good likelihood that taxes will be higher in the future? Yes or no? Aaron?
Oh, I definitely think taxes will be higher.
Okay, so yeah, I'm sure, I'm not saying you hadn't thought of this, but really, if you didn't help produce this show and hear all this, would you really think of any of this stuff? Think about it.
No.
You don't hear all this, do you?
No, I wouldn't think about it.
Y'all aren't sitting around and you and the family talking at the kitchen table about future. No, it just doesn't come up. So we are trying to expose the fact, folks, that this is what we call a postponement of taxes. We don't know if there's any tax savings or not. So the thought I have, and again, for those of you just joining us, if you ever want to check out the TV show, The Worry for Retirement, I'll be illustrating this on the TV show. We've been covering the 4 types of taxation. Today, we're on taxation number 2, which is pre-tax tax deferred, and we're focusing specifically on 401k plans. So here's the thought. Let's just say you have $10,000 that you're going to contribute to a brand new 401k plan, which is pre-tax. Now, assuming today what you used to be told is you'll be in lower tax brackets down the road, so you want the pre-tax deduction, so when you take the money out, you'll be in a lower tax rate. Now, quite frankly, this can still happen. We're not saying that everybody's going to be in higher tax brackets. We're assuming if they change the tax brackets in particularly, this could happen. So the fact is, we are in some of the lowest tax brackets today we've ever been in. So you have to kind of stay with the framework of how I'm putting this into perspective. So we know in this example, if this person chooses, it's their option, to put $10,000 into a 401k, they're going to get a pre-tax deduction, assuming they're in a 12% bracket, so they're going to save $1,200 in taxes. Basically what that means is the full $10,000 is in the plan and you don't have to report the $1,200. Now they could do another option. What if, since they're in a 12% bracket, they put that same $10,000 not in a pre-tax account, and we'll get into this later, but in a Roth account? You see, the Roth account is taxable now, but it's tax-free forever. And you'd say, well, Tony, that's no good because if I'm in a 12% bracket, that means I got to pay $1,200 in taxes, so I only have $8,800 left in the Roth, and you would be correct. Now, here's where people lose focus. Let's say you don't invest any more money. Over your lifetime, eventually, let's go back to the pre-tax, this $10,000 is worth $100,000, and you take the money out. So, Aaron, real quick math, this may catch you off guard. If you then take the money off the table, put it in your pocket, and you're still in a 12% bracket, how much would you net? Do you know? 12% of 100 is 12,000, right?
12,000, yeah. So you net 88.
There you go. Very good, Aaron. So he also does math well, folks, besides produce radio shows. So, okay, so you look at that, see what's going on. So we wait 30 years. In this example, the 10,000 has grown to 100. If you're still in a 12% bracket, you're back to 88,000. If I would have taken the $8,800 in a Roth and made the same amount, I'd have 88,000. The point is, listen closely, folks, it doesn't matter. If you're in the same bracket in the future as you are today, it doesn't matter whether you do a Roth or a pre-tax IRA. They're both the same. Here's the problem. Let's change the scenario. Let's say you're in a current tax bracket of 12% today, and let's say in 20, 30 years when you take this money out, they have changed the brackets. You with me so far, Aaron? We're going to be pessimistic. And let's say the future tax bracket for you is 30%. So you and Jessica want to do something. You want to go buy another home or whatever. You take the $100,000. Now they're going to take 30%, which leaves you how much? $70,000. So that means if we subtract 70 from the 88 we would have had under the current brackets, that just cost us $18,000 extra in taxes. Now, if we'd done the Roth now, we wouldn't have any taxes in the future, so we would have our $88,000 in our pocket. So what's a mother to do, you say, Tony? Well, the best thing you can do is for us to sit down and review your entire situation. So one reason I ask for tax returns, a lot of times when people come in to see me, they'll say, well, why do you need a tax return? Well, folks, that would be like going to a doctor and you're having all kinds of problems and he recommends an x-ray and you're like, well, why would you want an x-ray, doc? Well, so he can see internally what's going on. You can't tell anything without an x-ray, and that tax return will tell me a lot about your situation. I'll be able to determine a lot of things moving forward in terms of your retirement planning. Now, let me make sure I'm clear on something. We are not tax preparers. That's what I've got a tax preparer. He's a very good CPA. So I'm not doing income taxes. That's not what we're offering to do. What we're doing is tax planning for the future and for your retirement accounts. We're trying to keep your taxes down on those accounts so we can put more money in your pocket. Well, how do we do that? Well, we have a number of strategies that we can do that with, and we'll get into that in the fourth show when we get into after-tax, tax-free. But here's what we have to determine. Now is the time to look at this. Folks, again, depending on your overall income, you could be in one of the lowest tax brackets you're going to be in for the rest of your life. So why wouldn't you want to meet with an experienced retirement specialist to see how we might be able to help you, how we might be able to put more money in your pocket and deal with this tax tumor now rather than putting off the pain? It's easy to do. All you got to do is log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Once there, you're going to click on that Let's Get Started button. Now, what happens is that information is confidentially sent to our offices. I will either call you in person, or if it warrants us meeting in person, we will either meet at our Bowling Green or Louisville, Kentucky offices. And yes, I do meet in person with people. I had somebody in last night, second appointment, and he was laughing about that. He said, I was at the office. Apparently a guy watches the TV show a lot that he was talking to. And he goes, so you're going to go meet with that Tony Walker fella? And he said, yeah. And he goes, well, you're not going to get to see him in person, are you? It's a true story. And he said, well, not only have I already seen him in person, I'm going to see him again. And he's like, well, that's kind of surprising. So, folks, the radio, the TV show, that's really my side gig. My full-time job is meeting face-to-face with literally hundreds of savers each and every month, and I'd like to meet with you too. So, again, take advantage of this free offer to meet. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon. So, enjoyed having you with us. Remember, next week we'll be talking about our third type of taxation. But between now and then, if all else fails, you remember to be worry-free.
If you got it, you don't need it. If you need it, you don't got it. You don't get it, shame on you. Funny, funny, funny what money can do.